Barry, thank you. Let us take a breath in, recognizing that we get to breathe in the blessing that is music. Music is a prayer in motion. So everyone breathe in, please. And breathe out at your leisure, at your will, your whim. And so let us join together in being absolutely present right now in this moment. Let us be more awake and aware than perhaps we have been in a very long time, recognizing that we are coming into the darkest time of the year, tomorrow being solstice. And so we have an opportunity, don't we, friends, to release and let go of that which no longer belongs to us. And in fact, that's what I would like to share with you all tonight, is a message about going beyond what we think we know, what is, and going into the realm of what ought to be. Yes. Going into the realm of what ought to be, my friends, means going back to dreaming, the land of dreams. This is what it means to really be alive. So you can't believe in your life changing or in the world changing until you actually dream it. And you can't really dream it when the wounds are still holding you back or beating you down. So tonight, yes, there is beauty, as Manny spoke about. There is beauty and there is joy that we prayed for. And there is healing that we recognize that is happening right now if we allow it. And there is also a place that we have to go within ourselves, and we have to be brave. We have to be oh so very brave and look at the wounds or a wound. Because if we don't, we can't really dream. We can't really dream. We can't dream of a world filled with equity and peace and justice, and not just any justice, but transformative justice. See, we can't really dream that big when we still have the wounds that we are clinging to, that we don't even know, that are infecting us, that are infesting us even, maybe I should say. Oh, let me try this on. Get ready for this. I like to have props. What is this life about, my friends? Don't worry, there's going to be point to this. What is this life about? One of the things this life is about, thank you, Manny, is believing in magic. It's believing in, yes, unicorns. One of the things this life is about is believing in Santa Claus. What am I really saying? It's believing in things that supposedly cannot exist and believing in the things that maybe don't yet exist. One of the things that this life is about, my friends, is believing in a world where peace truly prevails, where love is truly at the center, amen, and is the highest good. One of the things that this life is about is us creating that, is actually creating a society and a culture that is equitable. We're not just the elite profit, but the folks that are in marginalized communities are seen and heard and taken care of and loved, where all of us are family and recognizing each other. See, one of the things that this life is about, my friends, is believing in the ineffable, in the magic, in the things that we have been told as we got older are crazy making. They can't exist. They don't exist. We can't have a world where Black and brown folks aren't being killed every day. No, this is just how it has to happen. This is just what has always gone on. Or violence. Just let's center violence right now. Violence just it's inevitable. It's just going to happen. We have to utilize violence. Might is right. What this life is about is going past the parameters of what is and what ought to be. And everything that the Revolution of Love Ministry and movement, I'm right now, you're probably wondering, how long is she going to keep that thing on her head? I don't know. We'll see. But everything about this ministry and movement is about grounding ourselves in that reality, that we are not going to accept anything less than transformative justice for everybody and positive peace, which is different than negative peace. Negative peace is just the absence of violence. What we're seeing with positive peace is that is a world where values like compassion and yes, justice and harmony and balance is imbued, is in the very fabric of our society and our culture. Amen to this. Amen to this. It has been my experience that when people stop believing in these things, it's because a couple things. Violence 101, the class that we've all been in, we've been in this class. We've been indoctrinated with all these forms of violence. And so we don't even know it. Imagine like we're in a fishbowl. And so we're swimming in this and we don't always see it. And what it takes is services like this, or I don't really care how you come to realize that some kind of educational process, some kind of healing process to wake you up to it. That's one reason that people stop dreaming, stop thinking outside of the box, stop believing in what is actually possible, what God actually wants for us. There's another reason. And it's those wounds. It's those wounds I mentioned right off the bat. See, when we are plagued with these oh so deep wounds, my friends, when they're in our very being, we are thinking and living, acting from that place, not the place of imagination, not the place of highest good, not the place of radical awareness. Tonight, I want us to go into the cave. The cave is stage 5, churn and burn of the hope cycle. And I want us to churn and burn in the way of dreaming. I want us to dream so big and so loud that if you need to make a motion, if you need to stand up, if you need to do a dance, then you do it. I want us to come back to this remembrance and this knowing of our dreams. Amen. Of what God really wants for us. And so that means we're going to have to go take some measures here. We're going to have to go in this cave and really get real. And that's why that email that was sent out about this service was called Reality Check. Let me do something. I'm going to do something that I stopped doing when I was first teaching and preaching and sermonizing. I did a lot of storytelling, and then I stopped doing that. And I'm going to do it tonight for a purpose. And I pray that you I pray you get it. So part of my story, if those of you, and there's some new folks here, part of my story is, and why I do what I do, why this revolution of love was created, comes from the fact that I too am a survivor of violence. We all are, actually. We're all survivors of it. Manny could put that definition up in the chat if there's any confusion as to what we mean by violence here. Manny, if you would, feel free to put that up in the chat when you can. And so the violence that I went through at a sustained level as a teen, it definitely did a number on me. And when the person that was inflicting said violence upon me was removed, I did what a lot of people do. I kept going with it. I turned it on myself because I didn't know how to do life without it. So I guess I became addicted to violence. And it came in different forms, in different shapes, the way I did it, you know, addictive cycles. And fortunately, when those ended, I, yes, had a moment of clarity, and that was many years ago, a couple decades now. In my healing journey, as I began to unpack what had gone on in my life, I got to work with a number of teachers, everything from, yes, psychotherapists to spiritual teachers. I took classes, I took workshops, you name it, I did it. I was very focused on the inner work. I wanted to get better. And I did. And then I hit a wall. And that wall looked like this. I came up against something in myself where I needed to know that everybody had the potential to change. And not everybody, but everything had the potential for transformation. And I didn't believe it. And it haunted me. Mind you, I was already very deep in nonviolence work and activism. I was already very deep into the spiritual journey. I was living in Berkeley at the time. I'd say this is about 2006, maybe. And for the most part, I did believe, and I believed in transformation and the activism that I was getting to do and all of the spiritual work that I had been part of, because I'd seen the changes in me. But at night, there was a little voice that haunted me, and I wasn't quite sure. And that voice said, can things really change? Can people really change? Even the most disturbed people exhibiting such a division or disconnection from their humanity. No, they can't. And I believed that voice. And I wrestled. It was biblical. I wrestled with this voice. And part of it, my friends, wasn't about the other person that had done X, Y, and Z to me. And, oh, could he get better? Could he change? It was about me, ultimately. That's the stuff. That's the stuff. Could I be made whole? Tonight I ask you, wilt thou be made whole? I pray that you say that with answer or reply with an emphatic yes. Because why? When we know that nothing and no one is irredeemable, is beyond transformation, that there is always, in fact, a potential for change, to come back to love, to come back to God, that justice awaits us. Amen. When that is there, yes, that's where we need to go, my friends. I'm going to read you something. This is Desmond Tutu, God Has a Dream. And during this time that I just spoke of, that was a very big challenge for me. I picked this book up, and you can see it's all worn. And this is page 3 of God Has a Dream by Desmond Tutu. I'm going to read you this paragraph. Please listen. As I sat quietly in the garden, I realized the power of transfiguration, of God's transformation in our world. The principle of transfiguration is at work when something so unlikely as the brown grass that covers our veld in winter becomes bright green again, or when the tree with gnarled, leafless branches bursts forth with the sap flowing so that the birds sit chirping in the leafy branches, or when the once dry streams gurgle with swift flowing water. When winter gives way to spring and nature seems to experience its own resurrection. Now, get this. This is the stuff right here that changed it up for me. The principle of transfiguration says nothing, no one, no situation is untransfigurable, and that the whole of creation, of nature, waits expectantly for its transfiguration, when it will be released from its bondage and share in the glorious liberty of the children of God, when it will not just be dry inert matter, but will be translucent with divine glory. My friends, transformation, as I wrote at the bottom, is always possible. It's always possible. That's what I hear when I read that. It brings me home. It reminds me that no one and no thing is beyond redemption. What does this have to do with your wounds? Everything. Everything. I want you to sit right now wherever you are and think for a moment. And go as far deep with this as you want. What is it? Is there a wound that has been following you for a long time? It could be a lie. It could be like a voice telling you, like what I shared with you, that leads you to despondency, that leads you to disconnection, that leads you to isolation, that leads you to being alone. And you may have people around you. You may have lots of friends. You may not, but ultimately alone. I want us to sit right now in the cave. Remember, we've got God. That's what we spent 2 weeks in this cave process. Whatever your conception of God is, okay? Whatever your conception of God is. And I want us to sit together now. We're not alone here. You're not alone in the cave. We are together in this, on Facebook, on Zoom, and recognizing that the ancestors are with us, that there is a circle that we have created, and that there are ancestors and all of the folks that have transitioned sitting alongside of us, holding it down. And that God, love, higher power, highest self is sitting right at the center. And perhaps it's time to listen to this wound and this place, this voice, this lie that follows. And I don't know what it tells you. But maybe it needs to be heard. When we hold the parts of ourselves, including this wound, because it's been part of you, when we hold it dear, and bring God to it and bring love to it. There is opportunity for redemption. There is opportunity to be made whole. It is vital that we exercise our choice in this wholeness. Because, as I said earlier, and let me say it again, when we come into a place of remembrance over who we really are, and this place of wholeness, and that nothing and no one, including ourselves, is beyond hope, is beyond redemption, that there is always possibility and potential for any of us, including yourself. We begin to dream. We begin to dream of the world that God is calling us to create. That's it. That's it. It is time that we dream bigger, my friends. It's time that we imbibe silliness. It's time that we imbibe play and magic and thinking outside of the box. And yes, that means dreaming. That means dreaming. And that's going to mean loving every part of yourself, every part of somebody else that is so difficult to love. Tonight, we have been in this cave. And God has called us to the cave, saying, "Come, be with me." And we replied, "Come, be with us, God." And in this place, we got to hear the voice, "Wilt thou be made whole?" And I pray that everybody says right now a resounding yes. Yes, we will be made whole. Change is always possible. Transformation is on its way right now. We are your holy vessels, God. We are your holy vessels. We are your change agents. We are your instruments of peace and transformative justice. And do with us what you will. Set our feet right. Light up the path. This is how we begin to create a revolution of love, my friends. Right here, right now, in every moment, in every day. And I pray that this is a blessing for you right now. Blessings, everybody. Take good care of yourselves this holiday season. And we will close now in prayer. Please do put your prayers in the chat. And know that we are live on Facebook. And so if you just want to write the first names, that might be good. And so let us